The ultimate Valentino men's fragrance buying guide. I own 4 of the most popular men's Valentino fragrances, and I've tried all of the other ones, so I'm going to be helping you decide which Valentino fragrance you should get by ranking them all into a tier list. Let's go. Starting off with the worst Valentino fragrance in my honest opinion, and that is the original Born in Roma EDT. The one I'm holding here is the Intense, which I will talk about later, but I went into Maya today and tried the EDT again to make sure that I could give you guys an honest and credible opinion of it, and let me just say, the Intense version is just a little bit better. I wrote it down in my notes. Let me go get my notes actually. I have here written down in my notes that the opening of both fragrances is actually quite similar. The EDT from opening to dry down is just a little bit more fresh, a touch less sweet, and I also find that the Intense version is more fruity, but the reason I like the Intense version more overall is that the dry down is just a bit more complex and unique. I find Born in Roma EDT stays very similar from opening to dry down. If you're looking for a fresh summer fragrance that is still versatile that you can use in the winter, the EDT would be a better option, but I just find that the Intense version has some more character to it. EDT, try both. If you're on more of a budget, maybe Born in Roma EDT could be a decent option for you. However, for 90% of people, I would recommend the Intense version. I also have here in my notes that the original Born in Roma EDT has quite a noticeable and strong ginger note, which I didn't really expect. Something like YSLY EDP also has a ginger note, but I find you can't really pick up on it. My nose is very sensitive to ginger. I hate the taste, I hate the smell. And that is another reason why Born in Roma EDT, I'm just not as much of a fan of. The Intense version, I don't pick up on any ginger. That's also just something important that I haven't really heard anyone else mention. Again, honestly, they're around 60-70% similar. There's not a huge difference between them. The goal of both fragrances is clearly to just be very mass appealing, be big compliment pullers. If I had to describe both of them in 2 words, it would just be sweet and sexy. They're simple, they're there to get compliments, they're very mass appealing. Everyone is going to love how you smell if you wear them. You can't really go wrong. The original Born in Roma EDT, I'm going to put in the C tier. I'd give it around a 7.5 out of 10. Born in Roma Intense though is just where it gets a little bit more fun because the performance is just that much better. So say you wear this at 6 PM and you just want to go and party. There's no risk of it, running out of longevity. It's going to project quite strong for the first couple hours. Neither both the EDT and this Intense version are particularly strong performers. I just actually find Born in Roma EDT to be considered quite a weak performer on my skin. Longevity was around 5 to 6 hours when I tested it today. Projection, honestly, with all the Valentino fragrances, I find I go nose blind really easily, so it is quite hard to tell about how strong they project. The Intense version though, I guarantee you will be satisfied with the performance, and like I said, the dry down is just a bit more complex. It's got some fruitiness to it. It's really hard to explain how they differ because they are quite similar. I would just say try both, but I can almost bet my money that you're going to prefer the Intense version. I just think it's just that little bit better. I'm going to put the Intense version in the B tier. Up next, we have Valentino Born in Roma Yellow Dream. Now, this is the one I got the most recently. I believe it was 3 days ago now. And often, my first impressions, I believe that it was the best Born in Roma fragrance from the line. My opinion has since changed as I've gotten to wear it more. Honestly, I think it's a little bit worse than when I first sprayed it. It just opens very, very nicely. It's super, super fresh. Arguably the freshest Born in Roma fragrance. In my opinion, it is. I believe it's got bergamot, pineapple. It's got a gingerbread note, which is super, super unique. I was worried it was just going to smell like a gingerbread house when I first, looked at it. But it's just super fresh, fruity. You do actually kind of pick up on that gingerbread. It's hard to explain if you haven't smelt it. If you want a summer daily scent, or even just a summer daily, not daily, a summer partying F-boy type of scent that's just going to get heaps of compliments, for summer parties, that type of stuff, this fragrance is probably the best Valentino option for you. The reason my opinion of this fragrance has since changed for the worse is largely due to the lackluster performance. I get maximum 6 hours longevity, which, for a fragrance at this price point is honestly super disappointing. Even though it's fresh and clearly more geared towards the high heat, I still want at least 7 or 8 hours. That's just my opinion. Projection as well. Also probably the weakest, close to the Born in Roma EDT, but in my experience, actually even weaker than that. So I really like strong fragrances, so for me that is a really big deal breaker, even though the opening is amazing. And the dry down, although it's very simple and linear, just like a lot of Valentino fragrances, I still really enjoy it. it's just hard for me to get over that poor performance. As I've been letting it dry down on my hand, I found a really good way to describe this fragrance, and that would be, in terms of smell, a mix between Rasasi Howes and Strong With You Intensely. I think that sweet, fresh fruitiness is more Rasasi Howes, but then that gingerbread kind of smells like the dry down on Strong With You Intensely a little bit. It kind of has a cinnamony type of smell. I'm not sure if cinnamon is a listed note, but I definitely do kind of get that Stronger With You Intensely dry down vibe. This is extremely mass appealing again, sweet, sexy. No doubt it'll pull compliments, but just do not be prepared for a strong fragrance with this one. You're gonna have to be using at least 5, 6, 7 sprays to get noticed while wearing Born in Roma Yellow Dream. In terms of what tier I would rank this in, it's tough. For me, smell-wise, compared to all the Valentinos, it could very well be A tier, but the performance is D tier. So we're gonna, let's put this in B tier, just below Born in Roma Intense. I think Intense is a little bit better than Yellow Dream. However, because I haven't owned or worn these tons, my opinion could still change. Up next, we have Valentino Coral Fantasy. When I asked everyone on my TikTok page what Valentino I should get first, the vast majority said Coral Fantasy, and I can totally see why. I believe that this is the most unique and complex smelling Valentino, which isn't really saying much because the brand isn't really aiming to do that. However, I just think that fruitiness with the tobacco, it's almost got a little bit of a smoky vibe, but it still manages to be mass appealing and a big compliment pull. That's where I think Valentino really excelled with this fragrance. They made it more unique, but they didn't make it hard to like, which I really, really enjoy. Performance as well is on the upper end. That opening is so good. It's spicy. It's fruity and spicy. It kind of reminds me of Tom Ford Tobacco Vinny in the sense that it almost has that kind of spice cabinet herbal type of smell in the opening, but again, the fruitiness and just that Valentino DNA keeps it from being, you know, too hard for people to like. I really, really like this stuff. For me, this is gonna comfortably slot, it's between A and S tier. This is really, really tough. I'm gonna put this in the A tier, but you could even argue S tier because the performance as well is really, really good for a Valentino fragrance. I get 7 hours longevity with moderate projection. At the moment, this is actually probably the one that I'm wearing the most. In terms of notes, it actually is a fairly unique breakdown for a, you know, designer Valentino fragrance. You get red apple, tobacco, bergamot, cardamom. It's fresh, it's sweet. It's just really, really easy to like. But if you're into perfume, like if you've been collecting for a while, it's also something where you're not going to smell and be like, oh, this is just something I've smelled before, it's so boring, like you might feel with Born in Roma or Yellow Dream. This one just has that touch of uniqueness that I really, really appreciate. I find it kind of like Versace Eros Flame. It's just a little step above the original Eros. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's not going to change your life, but it's just really, really nice to wear. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10 in terms of a rating. In regards to its versatility, you know, when I think it is best to wear this fragrance, I would definitely say it's more catered to the colder weather. It is probably one of the least versatile Valentino fragrances. Do I still think you could wear it in the summer? Yes, you could. It's still definitely got that freshness and it wouldn't be too cloying. I just don't think it would be as good as Yellow Dream or Born in Roma EDT during the, you know, higher heat. I think for a winter night out, this fragrance though just defeats any other Valentino. Today, when I went into Maya, I was there for one thing, and that is Valentino Uomo Intense. It is the all black Valentino bottle. It looks badass. I smelt it a few times, and honestly, it's blown me away every time, and I just can't find it. It is always sold out. I went to both Maya and David Jones, and yeah, you can see my reaction. I was very, very upset that I couldn't find it. However, I still want to include it in this video, although I'm not going to put it into a tier ranking just because I feel like I haven't had enough time with the fragrance to give it a fair ranking. Right now, you know, I'm pretty confident it would be in either A or S tier. It definitely reminds me of Uomo Intense, that powdery iris, but it's gone gourmand. It's sweeter. For me, Uomo Intense, the one reason I hardly wear it is because although it smells great, it is a very mature fragrance. It's not very sweet. I think it, you know, suits an older, mature gentleman, which isn't really me. It's not really my personality. However, Uomo Intense just ticks that missing box for me with that sweetness. It's got the gourmand element. I'm really, really excited to get my hands on it. I'm going to order it online and make a video on it. Just wanted to let you know that I love the fragrance. I just don't have it, and I couldn't find it today, and I don't feel like I've spent enough time with it to give it a ranking, but theoretically it would probably be, it could even be S tier. It's one of the best Valentino fragrances from my memory. The final Valentino fragrance on this buying guide is the newest release, and that is Valentino Born in Roma Green Extravaganza. Completely separate from the smell, this is my favorite Valentino bottle. It's two-toned, black and green, so badass, so sexy, and so is the smell. I think that this fragrance is criminally underrated, and I would go as far to say that right now this is actually my favorite Valentino fragrance, and the one that I usually wear the most and gravitate towards. Annoyingly, they only give you 3 notes in the breakdown. Top bergamot, middle coffee, and the bottom vetiver. The coffee note is done so well. I usually don't love coffee in fragrances. Killian Black Phantom, Mason Margiela Coffee Break, there are some exceptions. However, they've just done this so well. It is so mass appealing. It is like a dark roasted coffee in the opening, and it lingers during the dry down too. But it's realistic coffee, but it's still sweet, and it still has the Valentino DNA. It is just so addictive. It smells like a Starbucks vanilla latte, one of my favorite drinks. This stuff is just so beautiful. If you like the smell of coffee and you want a sweet coffee fragrance that is just so mass appealing, that just pulls in compliments, look no further than Valentino Green Extravaganza, guys. I'm telling you, do not listen to all the reviews online. I think this fragrance punches far above what a lot of the critics say, and I think that over time, and as the years go on, this fragrance will start to get a lot more love. It'll get the attention and the love that it deserves. Another reason that I freaking love this Valentino fragrance is that I find a lot of the Valentinos kind of muddle together when it comes to the smell. If you get someone that isn't into colognes and you tell them to smell all the Valentinos on a tester strip, I think, they're going to start getting confused about which one's which, because that Valentino DNA can really muddle together. However, I think Green Extravaganza and Uomo Intense too are the 2 kind of exceptions to that rule, because that coffee note and because of that iris in Uomo Intense, I feel like it really distinguishes them, and I love that. This is unique, it's fun, it's still going to get you compliments, it's an awesome fragrance. The performance is kind of on the middle end of Valentino's. It's not strong, but it's not weak. I get 6 hours longevity with kind of soft, maybe moderate projection. I do have to use usually 6 or 7 sprays for people to smell me with this. I've just been loving it, literally for the gym, for nights out, for anything. It is super, super versatile. I wouldn't even say there's a season that this works best in, because I think it's fresh, it's sweet. You can use it any day of the year. I don't have enough good things to say about this fragrance. I'm going to put it in the S tier, and I know that's probably an unpopular opinion because of the reviews, because I've noticed how a lot of people don't love this fragrance. However, it has just really, really grown on me, and I urge you to at least give it a try. That is going to wrap it up on the Valentino Ultimate Fragrance Buying Guide. Let me know if there are any other, major fragrance brands that you want a buying guide on, and I will do my best to make that for you. Have a great rest of your day. Remember to like, subscribe, tick the bell for notifications. It is completely free. It costs you nothing, but it'll help motivate me to make more videos. Have a blessed rest of your day, and go and buy yourself a Valentino fragrance. They are so freaking good.